Happy 4th of July to all the die-hard Broncos fans out there. While the Dallas Cowboys have long claimed the title of America's team, maybe it's time we set the record straight, because the Denver Broncos are the ones who truly represent the heart and soul of this country. This isn't just about football, it's about character, it's about values, and it's about grit. The Denver Broncos have a legacy that mirrors the spirit of America, built on resilience, sacrifice, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. That legacy goes beyond the field. It lives in the stories of players who didn't just wear orange and blue, they wore the uniform of the United States military. Take Ben Garland, for example, a graduate of the Air Force Academy who not only played in key playoff games for the Broncos, but also served as a captain in the Colorado National Guard. That's real dedication. That's real leadership. Then there's Mike Anderson, a fan favorite, not just for his bruising runs and iconic mile-high salutes, but for his service as a United States Marine. He didn't take the traditional route to the NFL. He served his country first, then came back to chase his football dream, and made it happen. These aren't just football players. They're warriors. They're examples. They represent the kind of strength, loyalty, and courage that this country is built on. So while other teams talk about tradition, pride, and legacy, the Denver Broncos live it, on the field and off. This 4th of July, let's give credit where it's due. The Denver Broncos aren't just Colorado's team. They are America's team. Mike Anderson wasn't just a one-hit wonder. He was the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2000, bursting onto the scene in true Broncos fashion, tough, fearless, and unstoppable. He was the kind of back who could have come out of nowhere and still hit 1,000 yards. That's what made the Shanahan era so legendary. Guys like Anderson weren't just players. They were stories of grit, chance, and redemption. And the legacy goes even deeper. Steve Russ, another proud graduate of the Air Force Academy, wore the Broncos jersey during 2 Super Bowl runs in the late 90s. He didn't walk away with a ring, but his impact was real. Watching old clips of Russ is like opening a time capsule. The build, the toughness, the fire. It brings back echoes of old-school linebackers like Romanowski. Then there's a name not everyone knows, but should. Gene Mingo. A trailblazer. A Ring of Famer. A Navy veteran. Mingo played in both the AFL and NFL, becoming one of the Broncos' earliest special teams weapons. His highlight reels might be black and white, but his legacy is bold and unforgettable. And get this, he came from the same Ohio roots as LeBron James and Steph Curry. Greatness seems to run through that soil. And don't forget Joe Rizzo, a U.S. Marine who played on Denver's first Super Bowl squad. His contributions are often overlooked, but for true fans, they're unforgettable. This team's connection to the military runs deep, and it's not just players. Even coaches, like the recently dismissed special teams assistant, had that edge of discipline and service in their DNA. When you look at the Denver Broncos, you're not just seeing football players. You're seeing leaders, servants, warriors, the kind of people who fought for something bigger than themselves, first on the battlefield, then on the gridiron. The military connection doesn't stop with just a few players. It runs deep into the Broncos' coaching staff as well. Ben Kotwicker, a graduate of West Point, wasn't just an ordinary coach. He flew helicopters in Bosnia and Iraq during his service in the U.S. Army. That kind of background brings a unique leadership presence to any team, and the Broncos felt that edge. Then there's Joe Lombardi. Yes, the grandson of the legendary Vince Lombardi himself. He's not just carrying a legacy, he's shaping one of his own. A proud graduate of the Air Force Academy, and now the Broncos' offensive coordinator. Joe has been handpicked multiple times by Sean Payton throughout his coaching career. He's locked in and ready to guide Bo Nix into a new era in Denver. These aren't just football minds. They're men shaped by discipline, service, and sacrifice. But if you ask what truly made the Denver Broncos feel like America's team, it all started with one powerful moment: the mile-high salute. That salute wasn't just a touchdown celebration, it was a symbol. And it came from a player who defined the underdog spirit: Terrell Davis. Davis was a sixth-round pick, and no one expected him to even make the roster. In a preseason game overseas, while others were locked in, Davis was on the sideline eating a hot dog until he got called into special teams. On his first play, he flew down the field and delivered a brutal hit. Coaches noticed immediately. From that moment on, everything changed. Mike Shanahan saw something special, and that nobody went on to become a Super Bowl MVP, the heart of back-to-back championship teams, and the face of a movement. The mile-high salute became more than just a gesture. It became a signature of pride, respect, and unity. Other teams tried to mock it, but in Denver, it meant something more. It was never just about touchdowns. It was about honor. What separates the Denver Broncos from the rest of the league isn't just championships or history. It's their unwavering connection to the men and women who serve this country. Few franchises embrace the Salute to Service campaign the way the Broncos do. Year after year, Denver sends more players on USO tours than almost any other team, visiting troops overseas, signing autographs, shaking hands, and showing deep respect for the sacrifices made. From Champ Bailey to Vermiller, from Cortland Sutton to today's rising stars, Broncos players have walked the bases, listened to the stories, and stood side by side with heroes in uniform. And it's not for the cameras. It's because it matters to them. It's part of the DNA of this organization. But one moment last season captured it all. The day Bo Nix was named starting quarterback, fans were waiting for the big announcement. But instead of heading straight to the press, Sean Payton walked over to a group of U.S. military veterans attending Broncos camp through a special USO program. Before the cameras rolled, before the headlines broke, Payton stood in front of those veterans and shared the news with them first. He spoke about his deep respect for the military, how his own family had served across multiple branches. He's donated signed gear. He's gifted service dogs. But more than anything, he's made it clear this game, this team, it's about more than football. Moments like that show why the Broncos represent something bigger than just wins and losses. They carry a culture of respect, gratitude, and heart, the same values that make this country strong. Moments like these remind us, we're not just watching football. We're witnessing something bigger. When Sean Payton stood in front of those veterans and shared his gratitude, it said everything about the kind of leadership we have in Denver. He's a throwback, a coach who still believes in values, who understands that we're blessed to live in a free nation where we get to enjoy this game, talk about it, and celebrate it. And the Broncos don't just say they support the military, they back it up. Through their Salute to Service work and the Broncos Brigade, this franchise gives back in powerful ways. Service members receive discounted gear, tickets, and are honored throughout the season. It's not just a gesture, it's a tradition. Broncos country stands with those who serve. And when you look across the map, literally, you see that this support runs deep. Across the heartland, through the Rockies, stretching into corners of the country far from Denver, the Broncos' colors dominate. It's not just about geography, it's about connection, loyalty, identity. You don't have to be from Colorado to be part of Broncos country, because this team stands for more than football. They stand for resilience. And if there's one man who defines that spirit, it's John Elway. Before he became a champion, Elway endured heartbreak, 3 crushing Super Bowl defeats, national embarrassment. Analysts wrote him off. Fans wondered if he'd ever win the big one. But he didn't fold. He fought back. And when he finally lifted the Lombardi Trophy, not once, but twice, he didn't just win. He redeemed an entire journey. He showed that setbacks don't define you, comebacks do. That's what the United States is all about. And that's exactly what the Denver Broncos embody. For every Broncos fan, there's that one memory that never fades. Mine will always be that moment when the world counted us out, 9-point underdogs against the Packers in the Super Bowl, and John Elway finally did it. The battle-scarred veteran, who had endured crushing defeat after crushing defeat, stood tall and led us to victory. This one's for John. That wasn't just a statement. It was a moment that redeemed decades of heartbreak. Elway didn't just win a title, he reclaimed hope for an entire fan base. And years later, Peyton Manning would write his own chapter in that same book of redemption. After a devastating neck injury left him unable to feel a football in his hand, people said he was done. But Manning fought through, training through pain, throwing with nothing but muscle memory. And not only did he return, he shattered records, broke Drew Brees' single-season passing mark, and led one of the most explosive offenses in NFL history. Even after a crushing Super Bowl loss, he came back one final time, wounded, aging, but determined, and rode off into the sunset a champion. That's what this team is all about. Now, a new chapter is being written, and at the center of it is Bo Nix. Written off, labeled a bust, called a third-round talent. Critics scoffed when Denver took him early in the draft. But look at him now. He breaks franchise rookie records, ends a 9-year playoff drought, and earns the respect of the locker room, not with hype, but with hard work. Bo Nix isn't just proving people wrong. He's proving that the American dream is alive and well in Denver. He's as American as it gets, relentless, overlooked, and unshakably determined. And with him leading this new era, we have something real to believe in again. So this 4th of July, celebrate the freedom we're blessed to have. Hug your family. Fire up the grill. But don't forget, football is almost here. Training camp is just weeks away. And in Broncos country, the fire is already burning. This year feels different. This year, we rise.